Hi, everybody, and welcome to the next House Sit Hangout. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Gloria, who's joined us for the first time, and Bragi, whom you may remember from other recordings. Hi, everybody, and welcome to HousesitMatch and the Hangout.
Hello, Lamia.
Hi,
Thank
Lamia.
you for inviting me.
Great. So, Gloria, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I live in Washington State in the Pacific Northwest. I live in a smaller town just outside of Seattle called Tacoma, Washington. And I've been house sitting for about the past 20 years. It might even be 25 years now. And I've been house sitting quite regularly over those 20 years, 25 years, for several colleagues and friends, cats and dogs. And I really enjoy it. And I'm now trying to think about, I'm semi-retired, and I'm now thinking about traveling abroad and maybe trying to house sit abroad. And so that's my goal. And I'm eager to see how that goes. I'm thinking to try to get a house sitting gig or a few in Luxembourg, because I do have a contact there and a friend who lives there. And then branching out from there. And I'm interested in your services, Lamia, and I'd actually like to hear more about that. As you know, as a way to kind of facilitate perhaps more house sit gigs. And so, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that at the moment.
Well, thank you. That's really, really interesting, Gloria. Thank you. Bragi, perhaps you could introduce yourself.
Well, I am from Iceland, and I started with Lamia. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, and well, like it always is, it took a while to get started, and I was mainly looking at house sits in Spain. I wanted to go away from Iceland in the winter time. So I was mostly planning on house sitting from, like, let's say September, October until maybe April, May. And that started very well. Now, like I've said sometimes before, I even paid 300 euros to start at the first house sit gig I got. I paid them 300 euros for taking me in. But I got that money and more the same winter, because they recommended me to some of their friends. And I got, like I said, I think I got 50 or 100 euros more from them, from their house sits. So it started well when it started. And I've done quite a few house sits with Lamia, and it's been fantastic. I got a lot of help in the beginning. As Lamia knows, I was a bit frustrated in the beginning. I wanted to get this started. I wanted to get away from Iceland at the winter time at least. So yeah, I wanted to rush into it, and it worked. So I've been doing this for 4.5, 5 years or something like that, and it's been mostly in Spain. But I did one house sit in England, no, in Denmark, for people that owned a house in Spain as well. So I was going between the places. And then last August, I came over here to UK, and now I'm retired, and I can, well, I am house sitting full time. So I came back in August, and I had a couple of house sits set up for me. And until 12th of January, I was house sitting kind of pretty much all the time, and then it got slow until April. And now I am fully booked during the summer. I'm at a good house sit at the moment, and I am fully booked until the 27th of September. I think it's at the most 5 days between, otherwise it's 1, 2, or maybe 3, and that at the most 5 days. And then at the end of it, I have a house sit from the 15th, no, from the 15th of October until the 3rd of November. So that is fully kind of booked until, I would say, pretty much until November there. And I'm looking forward to try to get some house sits in Spain, in Portugal, even in South France. But I might even come back to UK. I don't know, it depends. But then again, I would be coming back to a little bit worse weather than south. So that's about it from me.
Great. Well, you obviously enjoy the good weather in Spain, which I don't. I would be exactly the same actually if I were able to house sit full time, which I don't, but I do house it occasionally. Um, well, it's lovely to hear these wonderful stories. In fact, Bragi, I know some of the homeowners that you've house sat for, and they're really characters. I mean, you have house sat for some real characters, not just the pets. It has to be said. The characters you've encountered have been very entertaining.
Of course, people are different and all that. Very different, I would say.
Yes.
All very, very good people. I've met nothing but good people, and I've had good animals. I've not been in trouble with any of the animals, except, okay, unfortunately, I lost one cat, but it was sick before I got there. And I tried to do whatever I could, and took it to the vet and everything, but it didn't work out. But apart from that, well, I had one dog that, it was pooing blood, or whatever you say, shitting blood. And it was brought to the vet, and I got some medicine for it, and it got better and was okay when the owners came. And at this house that I'm at right now, I'm looking after two great dogs. And one of them kind of, I think, got depressed, missed his mom. I think that was the main reason. It didn't eat. It went hiding all over the place. It puked all over the place and was pretty much just depressed. So I was very worried about it. I was in full contact with the owner, and the owner was even thinking about coming home from the Bahamas if it wouldn't get better. That's how much she cares for the dog. And that's always a really, really nice thing to feel like. And have a good communication with the owner is, from my side, a big thing. But today, she mentioned some things that I could do. So this evening, I gave the dog some vet food. I heated up some broth. I put some rice, cooked rice into it, and bingo, there you go. We even had a little playtime out in the garden, and she was really happy. She hadn't pooed since, well, the day before last. But when we went on the walk just about an hour ago or so, it happened. So I'm a happy camper.
Fabulous. Well, that's great. You obviously take great care of the pets. Bragi, you talk about house sitting, it sounds like, for a long period here. How do you manage with visas? What visa rights do you have as an Icelandic passport holder?
I can go all over Europe without any visa. So I don't need any, and I don't even need any work permit. Now I think, I got a pre-settlement thing here in the UK now, but before that, I did not need any work permit or anything. I could just come over here and work if I wanted. And that I can do as well all over Europe, I think. I mean, I haven't tried it out. I worked in Norway, Denmark, Ireland, and here in the UK, but and not a problem. So, I mean, for me, it's quite easy. In Europe, it's very, very easy for me. So I don't need to tell anybody whenever I am coming into the country or whatever, so I can just travel, as much as I like.
Oh, that's
But
interesting.
Bragi, oh, pardon me. I was just going to ask Bragi, but isn't that a time limited? Do you have to be mindful of how much time, though, you're spending?
No.
No?
I can.
Okay.
No, there's no limit on that. I don't know how it is here in the UK, except, like I said, I've got a pre-settlement status. That is after the Brexit thing. I had to do that, or I did it before that. I did it last year. I think it was in November or around that. So I don't think there's any time limit on any. No, there is no time limit. Within Europe, there is none. So that makes the whole thing easier for me. But my future dream is to go house sitting 4 months, traveling 4 months, and then maybe stay in the Philippines. My big dream at the moment is to get there because I've seen so many videos there and it's so beautiful by the look of it, and friendly people and everything. So my dream is to get there and in the future stay there at least 3 or 4 months of the year, if not more.
That sounds like quite a plan. Fabulous.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Gloria, what are your time limits? You presumably do have time limits with the Schengen area in Europe and so on. So what is your plan when you go house sitting?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really constricted by that time limit. I think it's 180 days, I think, um, that I can only be in Europe. And so I'm just going to have to, if and when I'm able to secure some sit gigs, I'm just going to have to be mindful of the clock.
Mm.
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to learn more about that, but from what I've read so far, that seems to be the case. I'll have to step out after 3 months. I think that means I could come to England, um, and until 3 months have passed, and then I can go back,
Mm. And will
or
you,
I just come back to the States.
right, and will you take a significant chunk of time out of your calendar in order to do this?
I mean, I'm certainly thinking about that. That certainly is a possibility right now to do that. I'm very open to it. Um, I'm just not sure. It's kind of trying to look into the future and predict, right? But at the moment, I would say that I'm perfectly willing to do that. And even if there's a possibility that I might be going back to work in some fashion. But even now, it has become easier to work remotely. So I think that could be really possible in terms of house sitting as well, and house sitting abroad and being able to still work remotely.
Yeah, I
It
was
is
just going to
amazing
ask
how many
that.
jobs have become virtual, isn't it? Sorry, Bragi, you were
Yes.
saying.
No problem, no problem, no problem. Yeah, because I don't feel like I have any skills, but my income, like from the retirement, having like at the house it's not having to pay rent or anything, and in many cases, really many cases, I even get food and drinks from people. And I have recently started to ask here in UK, within UK, people to cover my travel expenses. And people
Really?
have been very happy with that. I mean, I don't travel far, so it's not a lot of money we're talking about. And in most of the cases, people are even paying me more than the travel cost. But that's what I have decided to do to make it a little bit kind of cheaper for me, you know. This is not a money thing, but I still say
Yeah.
in my application, I usually ask for my travel cost to be covered, but that can't be talked about.
Mhm.
So I have got them from some people, we usually don't pay for the travel cost, and that's it. Then I don't talk about it anymore. And I got the sit from that people, you
Mhm.
know. So I am kind of, yeah, flexible about that. But like I said, with my retirement, I am fine with the income there, and I'm doing well. So I can do this and travel around. And for example, going from here to Spain when I go down there, it's not going to cost me much. There's some cheap
Mhm.
airlines from London down to Malaga, and I'm going to house it in a place called Marbella in Spain. So, I mean, going down there, it's not going to cost me a fortune. So I'm happy there.
I have to just make it clear, Gloria, I don't know if you picked up, but house sitting through HousesitMatch is not a paid job. We
Mhm.
exchange services.
Yeah,
Bragi's talking about his expenses being covered on
just the
some house sits.
travel expenses.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it's,
Got
and
it.
we don't espouse payment for the house sitting simply because it's not what we're about and it causes tax
Yep.
issues for everybody. So it's just
Right.
expenses.
Yep. Yeah, and thank you for clarifying that, actually, Lamia. I appreciate that, because that was sort of a question in my mind. I don't do house sitting in the first place, for payment. I mean, the people do pay me, and I accept the payment here in the U.S., but that's not my motivation for house sitting.
Yeah, no, I
I do
understand.
it because people so much prefer to have a person in their home rather than to kennel their pets, and I'm
Absolutely.
just really happy to help in that way. So that's my main reason for house sitting. But But here in the States, I do get paid for my time, and I kind of like Bragi. A lot of places where I house sit are about 30 to 40 miles away. So I do ask for enough payment just to cover the cost of my gas, you know, to travel, to drive to the home.
And that
And
makes
usually a
sense.
little bit more, right? That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect sense.
Yeah. And so I was wondering if, like, when you accept sit gigs through HousesitMatch, this is a good clarification. You're not, I should not have the expectation or the understanding that this will be a paying, that the homeowner will pay. Yeah.
That's
Okay, that's
correct.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, this is an exchange of services. It's a barter for all intents and purposes.
That's
Yeah.
the concept. That's the concept of it, you know, and that's how it has been with me. I mean, whichever platform I am on, like Lamia knows, there has not been all that much going, but it's really building up at the moment with the different platforms.
And that's due to COVID and the pandemic and the
yeah,
travel
of course,
restrictions.
definitely. Yeah, like my thing there. I didn't get a house sit from January until April. It was totally wherever I applied. Sorry, we had to cancel and all that. So that's what's going on. But that's the concept of it. It is a win-win situation for both. And I managed to, like, on my sits, especially in Spain when I was there, because here in the UK I cannot drive, or I can, but I don't drive on the wrong side of the road, like I say. But in Spain, most of the places in Spain that I house at, I had a car from the owners. And I managed to travel quite a bit around. And if I did not have a car, I would even rent a car or a scooter for that matter. And I managed to go around, and I do something that I don't know if you know, called geocaching. Do you know that, Gloria?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I think I am familiar with that.
Yeah, I did that quite a lot. I haven't started it right here now, but in every place I stay at, I try to do it.
Nice.
And that has been the thing that I've been doing quite a lot when I was house sitting in Spain, and I had the cars from the owners. So that was a very, very nice thing. But altogether, I mean, it is a win-win situation for both. The homeowners are, their house is safe, their animals are happy, because the animals are more happy in their own environment than they are in kennels. I know
Yes,
that as well.
absolutely.
Because I worked in a dog shelter in Marbella, so I've seen it from that side as well. You know, it was not a kennel, but still, dogs were in there and they were not happy there. Whatever. I mean, so.
I just have to share a couple of stories that Bragi shared with me, if you don't mind, Gloria. So
Absolutely.
this is, first of all, Bragi the Saint. So Bragi is planning to he's done a couple of house sits for us in Spain, and he's told me, I'm going to another country and I'm going to work in an animal shelter, or I can't remember where it was exactly, but it was a different country for Christmas. Where was it, sorry?
In Algarve, Portugal.
That's right, yes. And so he said, I've always wanted to go to the Algarve, want to see this area, and I'm going to volunteer my time at this shelter. And so I call him and I say, look, I have a client back in Spain, in Seville, and they're absolutely desperate. Their other house sitter has let them down. No, actually, that wasn't the case. The house sitter was from us, and she was getting on a plane and she slipped a disc. So she had to be taken home and had to recover. So she couldn't fulfill the promise. And so Bragi said, that's okay. I'll call the shelter, tell them I can't come now, and I'll step in. So he literally stepped in at the last minute and very kindly looked after the two dogs. And that was one of the dogs that was unwell. And Bragi, that dog is still well and still doing, still living. I mean, they're both quite mature now. But anyway, so thanks to Bragi, who saved the day and saved the holiday.
It was a long trip for that one.
It was a what, sorry?
Long trip to go to that one, because I was up near Alicante.
It was a long bus ride.
No, not a bus ride. I got a blah blah car.
Ah, okay.
But it was a whole day trip.
Well, anyway, you did a fantastic job. And
that
then
worked out well.
My other favorite story of yours, Bragi, is when you had to step in because the butler wouldn't look after the dog. The owners lived on this fantastic golf course setting but the butler refused to look after the dog when the owners were on holiday, so Bragi was called for. So
It
that
was
was
one of
another
the
one to
better
stop.
houses I've had.
Oh
Because
my, I
I
don't
had a
think I've
butler.
ever been in a place that had a butler.
No, the guy, the owner of the flat, he was, yeah, I would say manager of a very famous hotel in Marbella in Spain. And they were, both of them, they were really famous in the society down there in Marbella. Very, very, very nice people. And she was even a princess. But she was a princess of a country, I think old Russian country or whatever, I don't remember. But the thing was, they had 2 small dogs. They had over 200 square meters apartments. The balcony was over 100 square meters and it led straight out to the garden. And there were 2 swimming pools out in the garden. I could use one of them. It was heated up, but not enough for me, so I didn't use it. I even had a car. And like Lamia said, I had a butler. And he came in, he usually came in 2 times a week, but this time he did 3 times because they were painting the living room. So he would be looking after all of that. So the thing he did my bed. He cleaned the apartment. He did my laundry. And he ironed my shirts that were never ironed anyway, but he did it anyway. So that was lucky. And I had a car.
But Gloria, I have to quickly underpin this by saying not every house sit comes with a butler.
Oh, come on, Lamia.
I hate to let the side down. It's an unusual occurrence.
Yes.
And even in the beginning, we went to the shop because the shop was not next door. So the lady drove me to the shop. And when I was going to pay for it, she said, no, I pay it. And they paid me some money, which is not like a usual thing. And they even tipped me 50 euros.
Nice.
And they gave me a fabulous review. You've seen it, Lamia, haven't you?
It's glorious. It's a lovely review.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And another place, so we talk about more houses. Another place I was at, it was also in Marbella. And it was the second people that the first couple recommended me to. So I had a great, nice hot tub with a good view out in the garden. And it was on all the time with the 39 degrees temperature Celsius. And I had a very, very nice BMW. And it was a good house.
Not bad.
Nice.
Not
nice.
bad. No wonder you like Spain.
Well, and it was an easy job because I just had to walk. The dog was old and tired, so I just had to walk it across the street for about 15 minutes each day, and that was it.
Wow.
And I could leave it at home for maybe 4 or 5 hours if I wanted. So.
But you have had some good touring house sits as well, haven't you? Because when you have the car, you've been able to visit Gibraltar, you've been able to visit some other cities, you went to Seville. I mean, you have been around, haven't you? So you've been able to be a tourist and live like a local.
Well, yeah, and do my geocaching thing. But actually going to Gibraltar, that was when I was with Sue and Daniel. And then I didn't have their car, so I rented a car, but it didn't matter. I mean, I had a good company going down to Gibraltar, a friend of mine there in Marbella. But I have been traveling quite a lot with the cars that I had, you know. And at one point, I was up in the mountains, about, I think, 5 kilometers or so from the nearest village. And I had a car from there and I could use it as I wanted. And then they had, well, I was looking after 2 horses. I think that was through you as well.
It was,
Lamia.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was 2 horses, 3 big white German shepherds, lovely dogs, and 5 cats that were always outside. So I just had to feed them up at the stable.
Oh, that was the James Bond house, wasn't it? With the fantastic views.
Yeah, the view was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, those dogs, they were just fantastic. But the thing was, they had a house in Denmark as well. So at one stage, they moved the whole lot to Denmark, except for the cats. So I was sitting there without any animals. And I have to say, I was a little bit bored, even though I could drive around and everything, because I say in my profile, I prefer having animals with me, both for the company and I love animals and all that. And then they asked me to come and house it for them in Denmark when I was house sitting for them in Spain. So they asked me to drive to the airport, leave the car, take the plane, pick up the car, and meet the owner there, pick up the car from them and drive to the place in Denmark. And they paid for the whole thing. And then they, in Denmark, they had 4 horses. And the dogs there, except in Spain, they were fenced off, the dogs, so they could go. I opened the door 8 o'clock in the morning, and I could sleep till noon or whatever. They were just coming in and out as they pleased, you know. But in Denmark, I had to walk them. And I tell you, that was a difficult job because they were not used to be walked on leads. So they pulled
They
really.
were big dogs. They were big like
dogs,
white Alsatians.
Yeah, and there were 4 horses, and I had to let them in the evening, let them out in the morning, and I had to clean after them in the stable and feed them and all that. And they even paid me for that because this was work, and walking the dogs was pretty hard, I would say, even though it didn't take all that long down to the beach, and I could let them off there, but still. And they were really, really fair and paid me for that. And I had to let them down once or twice because I was booked when they wanted me to come and house it for them again.
So Gloria, one thing that Bragi's just said there, it's really important to say if you prefer a house sit with pets so that you have company and you have activity. We do get the occasional house sit, often long term, where there are no animals at all and they simply want someone to be there. We had a year-long house sit in the south of France. The owner was having, it had just been released from probate, the property, and they were having trouble selling it because it had degraded during the time. And so the house sitter was painting it, and she was there to prevent anybody from moving in, any squatters or gypsies, because some of the village nearby had actually been infiltrated by travelers. And she did a great job, and the owner was really happy, and she had a fantastic time. She had been for 20 years a trailing wife and had decided she wanted a year out to learn French. So she had followed her husband's career all over the world. And then she decided for a year, I'm going to learn French, I'm going to write a book, and I need space. And this suited her. But my point here was she didn't want the hassle of pets. She wanted just to focus on what she wants to do. And so it turned out really well for her. But if you have a very specific idea of what you want to do, and you want the company of pets, the activity that goes with that, then just be clear in your profile.
That's good to know. And I personally am happy either way. I mean, I love pets, so I'm very happy to be around pets and take care of them, and also happy if there aren't any pets to take care of, that's fine as well. But it's good to hear that. And then Lamia, can you just tell me, can you give me a little bit more of an idea, since I get to have this direct connection with you, about how the process works for working through you?
Sure. Well, we ask everyone to sign up as a member, first of all. So we're a membership network. And for that, you pay a small administrative annual fee. Standard memberships at the moment are £69 a year. So that's about, what, $85 a year. And the premium membership, which gives you a much bigger profile, 800 words, 9 photographs, a video if you want one, that's £89 a year, or about $120 or so a year. And then you get your ID check for free. So once you've registered, given your email address, your address, and so on, you then do an online ID check. And that means you take a selfie, very much like the Airbnb process, if you know that. We have one step further. So you have the selfie, you have your passport ID page, you have to have a good scan of that. You need one other form of written ID and some extra piece, usually a social media profile, something like that, or a utility bill. So it's a number of items, and there must be a correlation between all the elements. And then that's all done on the system automatically as you register. And then after that's done, we ask house sitters to give us an up-to-date police and background check. If you already have one because of work or whatever, we just like to see a copy of that. If you don't have it, we have a system on the website. Wherever you are in the world, you can plug in and get one from where you're from. It takes a period of time. You have to pay for it, but you would have to pay for it anyway if you were at home. We just enable you to do that. So once you have all your documentation, you build your profile. We have ways to help you. There are videos and so on. And then you tell people about yourself. You add photos that show you in the kind of situations you want to be presented in, looking after pets, looking after a garden, yourself, whatever it is, you know. So build a profile that presents you in the best light as a house sitter, pet sitter. And then you're all set to go. You see a house sit you like, you apply for it. It's all done through the system. We ask you to use a username, not your real name and profile. All your contact details are hidden, likewise for the homeowner, for security's sake. That actually gives us an extra barrier between hacking, so we are a protected site, multi-levels. The other thing to bear in mind is that when you receive a response or they look at your profile, you'll get a notification by email saying there's a message for you. So you go on the site and you'll see what happened. Did they look at your profile? Did they read your application? Have they responded? Another way to manage your applications is to set some alerts through the system. If you really want to go to Luxembourg and or France and Germany or Italy, anywhere within a short flight, then you can set up alerts for that country or even a city to say, as soon as a house sit becomes available, I want to know immediately, daily, weekly. You can set the criteria. And then you'll get the email saying, hey, 15 minutes ago, this was published. It might be of interest to you. You can also do that with a very specific house or a property. If there's something you particularly like, the butler in Marbella, for example, you could say, I want that one. And again, you can set it for daily, weekly, immediate notification. And then the butler comes into your inbox and says, we need a house sitter, and so on. So that's essentially how we work, the mechanics. Once you've done your house sits, as Bragi was saying, you then review the homeowner and they review you. And the stars that you carry out of 5 for a number of different criteria as the house sitter or the host, then are loaded onto your profile. And then with every review you get an aggregated average for all the elements. So it's a special formula that reflects the overall performance over time. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's all very clear. And thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure. We are always working to try and make the website easier to use. And as with every website, it takes a little while to get used to the protocols and so on. But I like to make myself available, and we have Wendy on live chat. So if ever you have questions, really just come through to one of us and we'll help you.
Okay. And Lamia, do you ever have the ability to meet your house sitters in person?
Oh,
Yes. Bragi and I have had lunch and
Nice.
dinner 3 times. He's met my husband.
Nice.
Whenever somebody's passing through town, I'll drive within, 30, 40 miles to go see them in London or Oxford. I've met quite a few of the house sitters and some homeowners. I have dates in the calendar for when travel restrictions lift. I'm going to meet more people. I love meeting the community.
Yes.
If not like this, in person. Yeah, no,
Yes.
come on down.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I really like to hear that. That's really wonderful. It just seems like a really good community of people, and it'd be kind of nice to have an opportunity, if it works out to meet the folks,
Oh yeah, absolutely. We haven't yet done like a barn dance for everyone, but that might be an idea going forward.
And I haven't even as well met, I think once or twice, other house sitters in the area where I am. I don't remember, was it Map Up or something like that? Lamia, do you remember that? There is a...
Yes, Mappa Hub is, yeah. So this, I don't know if you know Housesitting magazine?
No.
Okay, so the people who manage Housesitting magazine have a website called Mappa Hub where you can say your location, and I think you pay a very small sum per year to be able to connect to anyone else who's logged on.
Oh.
And you can make
Okay.
arrangements to meet up. It's a really cool thing for people who house sit on a regular basis.
Yes. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
I met some people in Spain. Do you remember Lamia Alpa?
Oh yes, I do.
I met that couple in Marbella in Spain once, just
Excellent.
across from my place where I was house sitting.
Oh,
with
fantastic.
Sue and Daniel, I think it was, yeah.
And Bragi and I have house sat for houses on the opposite side of the street. Not at the same time, it has to be
Oh,
said, but
that's funny. I
it's
love
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
it
And
is a remarkably small community, no matter, we're over 25 countries or whatever it is. It's you do bump into the same people.
yeah, and the village
that's lovely.
where we house sat across from each other, kind of. What do you have there now? 4 or 5 clients?
We had, the village is this big, right? I mean, it has
Yeah,
about, I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
18 people living in it, and we've got 4 clients in that
yeah.
village. It's just lovely.
And it,
So
and,
you're doing well.
yeah, and
Well,
I did a house sit there 2 times, and well, in 2 other houses, and I think both of my clients with you, Lamia, Peter,
yes.
and I don't remember the name of the other one. They had a chat with me if I would ever be available after this COVID shit. They would contact me, and I was
Absolutely.
house sitting with with a lovely, lovely, lovely dog. Then and that area is great walking dogs.
The dog is Safi.
Safi it was. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. And
oh,
there's a fantastic farmhouse in that village right now. It's
yeah,
I can't do it, unfortunately, but I jump at it. It's
yeah.
I'll send you the dates, Gloria. You never know. That's coming
Okay.
on down. You
Right?
too could be one of the sitters in the village.
I I love I love the small villages. Like Lamia knows, I've been in the small villages quite a lot, and I just love the life of the small villages because you can easily get into the communication with everybody there. And when you walk around, everybody, good morning, how are you? Good
I
morning.
love that.
It's fantastic,
Yeah,
you know.
Well, you were certainly
that's
a
wonderful.
popular at the pub when we went down, David and I, to meet you at the pub. Everybody knew you.
In Dorchester, wasn't it?
Lovely. In fact, Dorchester is that's just a darling village in Oxfordshire. Again, we have a few clients there.
I
In
love
fact,
it.
Kate Bush, I believe, I'd love her as a client. She lives nearby.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's a lovely area, and the place that um, I think she is called Francesca in your profile. What's her name again? With the 3
oh,
Hungarian weasels.
the Vishlers, Hungarian Vishlers.
Weasels, yeah. She lived in Dorchester, but moved to a fantastic house. One of her dogs died, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the biggest one, the male. But
Hmm.
she even that's another good one. She even paid for my air flight from Iceland and for the bus ride from the airport to her place. And after the house sit, she drove me, I think it was well over an hour to the next one
Wow.
in Great Missington.
Well, you are popular, Braggy,
Wow.
and rightly so.
Well,
Hey,
I can say I'm very, very lucky and happy with how it's going. That's for sure.
Well, I'm very
that's
pleased.
really
I'm so
wonderful.
happy.
And Lamia, I just had one other question I wanted to ask you. Do you do you have house sits in Canada ever?
We
I
have
would
had
love to
house
house
sits
sit
in
in
Canada.
Canada.
We have had house sits in Canada. Everything's gone quite quiet for us. We're just
Mm,
beginning to wake up again after the pandemic. So I'm emailing people on a regular basis, and hopefully people will wake up again soon as they feel more
mhm.
confident to travel. So we do have homeowners in Canada. We'd like
Okay.
more. And
Yeah.
and we always say to our house sitters, if you can't ever house sit, let us know, and we'll try and find someone else for the homeowners. So talk in
Mhm,
the community. But
okay.
look, I'm always available for a chat. If there's a house that you're interested in our listings, let's have a chat. Maybe I know something about, if not this date, the next set of dates, because they don't always want to publish immediately, but they contact me, say we have something coming up. There's somebody in mind for us.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Excellent. Yeah, I love Canada and would love to spend more time there and have been even all the way out to the maritime provinces and love it out there. Like Newfoundland was one of the places that I went to, St. John's, Newfoundland,
Wow.
and
That's a good
would
spot, yeah.
love to. It's beautiful out there, just beautiful, beautiful, and would love to find more house sit gigs there, um, if possible. So just wanted to ask that question if you had homeowners there.
Well,
I
not in
don't think,
Newfoundland as yet, but I'll bear that in mind.
yeah, but I think well, because now I am at more than one platform, so I see quite a lot of houses. I don't see many from Canada, that I have to say. I mean, I'm on one called Trusted Houses, but I don't see many houses from Canada. It's also a nice country. I would like to go. I would never like to go. Sorry about that, Gloria, but US is not on the top of my list. It's
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Bragi, not at all.
But I've been once to US, or flying through Seattle on my way to Canada. And I had some good friends in Canada, and I stayed there for a while, for 10 days, I think. And that was just fantastic. And that would be a nice place to house it. But it's for me, it's a bit too far. I would like to take Europe, kind of France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, and all of that. That's kind of what I'm aiming at the moment.
Hey, Bragi, we have some homeowners in Malaysia. Have you ever thought about going to Malaysia?
That might be an option, depending on
the
time.
Philippines. I mean, Malaysia has a similar climate, you know.
Yeah. What time? Is there any sit that is?
Nothing at the moment, but we have 3 homeowners there, so I can reach out to them. And you know, if you're thinking about next year, planning ahead is probably not a bad idea.
I'm even planning on, if I don't get a house in November, I'm even planning on going to the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
If it opens up, I don't know, because they have I think they have a quarantine at the moment for 7 days.
Yeah.
But,
I think you have to watch the government websites quite carefully at the moment.
And I am looking at so many videos from people living down there. There is an Icelandic guy that's making fantastic videos, and he's very, very, very popular, and he's doing good things in charity and stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
So, and he is both making videos on land and underwater. So he's doing a very, very good job. And he's living actually on YouTube. Him and his girlfriend, they make a living on YouTube and make a good living.
Fabulous.
Wow.
So, but Philippines is a country that I'm thinking of if nothing works out with the house sit here in Spain or in Europe altogether. I'm thinking about coming back to UK, but still the weather.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. We're ready for sun. We're definitely ready for summer. Well, listen, guys, thank you very much. It's been really interesting getting to know you, Gloria, and always great to hear your stories, Bragi.
This has been really great. I really appreciate it. I love this, and I hope that there will be more of these sessions.
Well, we tend to run them on average, say, once a month at the moment. So make sure you're signed up to the newsletter, because I tend to announce them there. And as and when you join us as a house sitter, yay, look forward to that. Yep. Then, you'll get the circulars on a weekly basis as well.
But I'll tell you, Gloria, that Lamia, I'm on her back all the time. I'm calling her and blah, 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 blah. Every time there's an answer, and good answer, and help and everything included. So you're in good hands there, Gloria. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you,
I
Bragi.
believe that to be true.
That's how I know all his great stories.
Well, I tell you what, I am with at the moment, I think 4 platforms, and in none of them there is a personal service like this. None of them, not one.
Oh, Bragi, you're very kind.
I mean, Lamia, you know me. We've been contacted. I contact you all the time. I'm calling you even in the evening and whatever. I mean, always there to help out, and you helped me a lot with the profile. Remember that in the beginning.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I appreciate hearing that. Thank you, Bragi. I feel like this, I already feel like this is an excellent platform. So I'm looking forward to getting more involved with HousesitMatch.
We look forward to having you on board. Okay, Gloria.
Right,
okay, Bragi.
Thank you very much. Talk to you later.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to stop this.